Hey everybody, Brian Carn, the Fishing Musician, back for another guitar lesson. Thank you all for your patience over the last few months. I haven't been getting many videos out, but in the process of moving from Missouri to Michigan. So we got a place up here in northern Michigan we're happy with. So been settling in, and the blue behind me there, this is our living room. I'm getting a studio set up downstairs. We're changing the blue. So anyway, thanks for your patience. It's been a lot of work getting moved in and settled in. And of course, got to check out the lakes and rivers around town here. So should have a fishing video up pretty soon too. Yeah, today's lesson, kind of essential Robert Johnson riffs, intros, and turnarounds. We're not doing any specific Robert Johnson song. We're just taking some of his ideas and, you know, kind of show you how you can apply them to just a standard 12-bar blues. We'll work with the key of A and the key of G. For the sake of the lesson, we're just going to do the turnaround / intro one way, and I'll kind of let you guide yourself on how you want to work on some variations and things like that. And towards the end of the lesson, I'll certainly give you some ideas on that. So, but before we get going, I want to do a special shout out to John, and Dave. You guys know who you are. Subscribers that have signed on for online lessons. Doing a fabulous job. Loving it. Having a great time. Great job, guys. So, with that in mind, I will be taking on more students as I get my space worked out, both online and if you're in my area, in person, of course. But the online lessons go a lot better than a lot of people think. I myself take online lessons from time to time, and it really does work out well. So anyway, without further ado, got all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the lesson. So we're just going to learn exactly what I did in the intro. This riff. We're just going to do that. That both can be used as an intro like Johnson does by using both parts of that riff. Also, it can be separated into two parts as an intro or a turnaround. That's why these runs are so useful. And they can be pretty much, like I said, used in any blues in the key of A, which we'll be starting with, and then I'll show you how to transpose it to G. So let's go ahead and get into the riff. So what we've done here is taken a D7 chord, and I would put this lesson at beginning to intermediate, right? So I'm assuming you know that shape already. If you're not familiar with basic chord shapes, plenty of stuff online. Just type in basic chords, basic guitar chords, and you'll find all these chord shapes. So we're taking a D7 and move that all the way up to A7. So that'll be on the 8th and 9th fret. Just playing those three strings, I want you to place the thumb on the 3rd string, and we're going to do all down strums here. Right? And pay close attention to the cadence and kind of the feel, because I am doing some muting with my hand here, cutting those strings short, and kind of getting a shuffle feel with those downstrokes. I'm not going, right? It's kind of giving a groovy, right? Pay close attention to that, you know. Just try and mimic what that sounds like, right? We're going to drop that back a half step, so we'd have A flat 7. This time, after the thumb, we're going to throw in a quick upstroke. I suggest using the finger, index, middle, even ring. You could do up with the thumb, but the fingers have a nice, stronger sound, I think. We're going to drop that back to G7. Same thing, but we're going to cut one short on the final downstroke. Right? We're not going to do as many because we're going to come back to this chord and kind of resolve it there. So if we did it without resolving, we have this. Right? Let's do that slow. Try that nice and slow together with me. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. Right? And then we're going to come back here. So let's do that one more time, and then I'll show you what to do on this A chord down the neck. 3, 4, nice and slow. Okay, very first part, and we're going to come to this A chord. It's a bar chord. Your bar A on the 2nd fret. Extend that chord by playing the pinky on 5. If this stretch is too difficult for you, you can capo on 2 or even 3 and play these forms further up the neck and just pretend like that's your nut, right? You're just cutting off the guitar. I'm sure you're familiar with using a capo. If not, there's plenty of lessons on that, and I plan to do one here shortly at some point. Anyways, so bar A, extending it with that high string on the 5th fret, happens to be another A note. Right, so when we get there, we're going to play the 3rd string and the 1st string. And when you play that 1st string, if you can manage it, play it with the bass note, open 5 as well. Not necessary, but it sounds great. You can get a little slide if you want. Or just, that's fine too. You can go thumb, thumb. You know, do what's comfortable, right? So let's put that now together from the top, right? Here we are on that A7 up the neck. 3, 4. Right? Let's do that one more time. You see we're getting in there? Or just, this time I'll do it without the bass note so you can hear the sound there. Here we go. 3, 4. Sounds fine without the bass note, you know, just sounds better with it, right? So now we're on to the last part of this, is this run here. Right, we can see the pinky's pedal tone. It's not moving. The 4th string is descending, 5, 4, 3, 2, okay? Fingering here is important. Most often, if you've seen any of my lessons, I'll tell you, hey, use what fingers make sense to you. But this, I highly recommend using ring, middle, index, index. Okay, so on the 4th string, I got my ring finger on 5 and my pinky on 1. 4th string, 1st string. We're going to do like a triplet on the 1st string the first time. Then we're going to kind of shuffle it. Right, so on the 1st string, let's think of the cadence here, the groove of that 1st string. Da, 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 da. It's a good idea to maybe try and separate that. Get that feel. Ba, 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 ba. Right? Try with me. 3, 4. Ba, da, 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 da. And on the top, all we're doing is single quarter notes. Just keep the pinky down, even if you're not using it, if you practice it separate. So what you can do if you're having trouble putting this together, sorry about that, that's my phone. If you're having trouble putting this together, is hum the top part, ba, 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 and play the thumb. Ba, da, 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 da. It's a good way to kind of really get that under your skin and, you know, really under your fingers. But to do it both together, we're playing the 1st stroke of the 1st string with the 4th string at the same time. So we're pinching it. See that? Then on the E chord, we can just do, for now, play E7. I use my pinky. You could just do that. For the sake of the lesson, we'll do a real simple strum. Up, down, up, down, up, down. So. And that'll get us into either starting our 12-bar blues in A or repeating our 12-bar blues in A, depending on whether you use that whole line as an intro or just part of it as a turnaround, right? Pretty cool stuff. Pretty easy, not too bad, right? So now let's talk about separating the two to make it a turnaround. I'll give you even another option. First, we could just use this or just this in the same cadence, right? If we use it as a turnaround, because we have a timing issue that we have to adhere to, basically 4 beats of the A chord in the 12-bar blues before we go to the final 4 beats of the E or the 5 chord before we start again, right? So let's say we're playing a 12-bar blues, and again, I'm going to assume if you're seeking this lesson out that you know 12-bar blues 1, 4, 5 progressions. If not, tons of lessons on that too. So here we are. Let's say we're towards the end, and let's just say we're doing a shuffle. Here we are on 5, E, D, right? We tag our A, turn around. And we start again with our little shuffle, right? You can see it works out great. Perfect turnaround. If you're familiar with ZZ Top's something like that. So there it is right there. You can, a really popular song. But you've heard these a million times, I'm sure. So let's use this. Same cadence as this. Da, 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 da. So we can use those chords as well. Let's see how that sounds, right? Pretending we're going through 12 bar. Here we are on the E, 2, 3, D. Tag your A. You see that works out really nice too, just as a turnaround, right? So use your ear. Let yourself kind of experiment. Let things happen. You know, don't be in a hurry, as I always say. Now, we're going to add one more thing to this. Instead of playing an A7 from the D7, that's how we got there, we can take an A chord and wind up here, just these top 2 strings. So if I make an A chord really small, the full triad, 3rd string, 2nd string, open 1. My Star Wars chord, open 1. Terrible joke, I know. But anyway, 3, 2, and 1, that's the A, C sharp, and E. I can find that here an octave up. But I only need the top 2 strings. So I'm on 12 of the 1st string, 14 of the 2nd string. We can do the same thing we did here. As an intro. Johnson did that on a few tunes too, I believe. See that? So that's an A chord off of this. We're just using the top 2. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, no big deal. Just put your fingers there and play it, right? So it's A flat, G, down the neck on A, just like A7, A flat 7, G7, A down the neck. Same idea. You could even use that in cadence. See that? Same idea. You can just use it as a turnaround or a shorter intro. Pretty cool stuff, right? I think it's great. I think you'll have a lot of fun with this. So that's all in the key of A. So moving to the key of G, which is another, I would say the other really good key for using these exact shapes and not having to use any movable shapes up and down the neck, is the key of G. Works out really nice. And it's easy to do, right? Because we started with A7 on the 8th and 9th fret. We just moved that back. We wound up on G, so that just becomes our starting point, right? Because we did A flat, G. That's a G7. So now we just start here. The open G chord, it sets right up. You know, we don't even have to do any extension or modification of the original chord. We just play a straight G. Keep the pinky down. You could use these fingers if you want. It's fine. Because the last one is open anyway, but I play G this way. Use what's comfy, right? If you use this G, you'll have your third finger on the pedal tone, and you'll be using 1 and 2 on the descending. If you use G like this, you have the pinky on the pedal tone and doing the same exact fingers as you did in A, except you wind up on open instead of index and pinky, right? Same thing, we could do 3-1 with no bass tone, or we could do 3 and play 6 and 1. Same deal. Da, 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 da. See, pinky staying or ring finger, depending on what fingers you're using. Descending the 4th string. Off the 3rd fret, 2nd fret, 1st fret, open. Your turnaround chord is a D7. And again, for the sake of the lesson, you can go up, down, up, down, up, down. Let your ear guide you to play things a little more groovy. You can do whatever, you know, just have fun with it, experiment. Same idea from the A here, right? We could start on G, which would be the last part of what we did on the A, so we're on 10 and 12. There's your G. It's coming from a G bar chord like this. All right, so we got G, same thing. So I think that's the intro to Love in Vain. Something like that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You've heard this stuff before, but the cool thing is, if you're learning a Robert Johnson song, obviously this stuff is super important because that's what he's doing, variations on these runs, right? But the cool thing, I think, about doing these is you can pop them into any 12-bar blues that you're playing, or 8-bar blues, or 16-bar blues, right? Anytime you have a turnaround, or you need an intro, these things can be great ideas, right? So, real quick, a couple of variations. You know, you could just do straight triplets. You know, ideas. Keep a triplet on the pedal tone. You know, you could pick these. You could alternate these. You know, same thing here. Pick some separate strings, all kinds of variations. I don't want to go too deep into that because I really want you to come up with your own ideas and play what you start to hear in your mind. So if you work through, I think, the key of A steadily and learn each little part, things will start to develop. And if they're not developing right away, don't rush it. Never be in a hurry. Just take your time. I always say, let things evolve. Let things happen. You know, they will happen. So, all right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed that lesson. Remember, I am available for online lessons anytime. I got contact info in the description and as well on my page. It's starting to rain here. Boy, do we need it too. So, anyhow. In the meantime, before next time, take care of yourselves. We'll see y'all later.